What's the role of humans in an automated language industry? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Today I have a very special guest on the channel. Florian Faes from Slator came on for an interview. I've already filmed it, so I know it's going to be amazing. There's a lot of very interesting value for you guys in there. If you don't know Slator, me personally, I know Slator.com mainly through their, language industry news. It's where I get all the news about the industry. I listen to their podcast frequently. I've been following Florian's journey. He's the founder of Slator for a long time. But as we're about to see in the interview, they do also much more that I on the freelancer side don't really see. So it was very interesting to talk to him about seeing the language industry as a bigger picture as a whole, because for us freelancers, it can often feel a bit like we're just working here on our own in the office, we don't really see the impact it has in the real world. So I'm very thankful for him. All the links to the website, to the podcast, to his LinkedIn, everything is down below. So please reach out to him directly if you have questions, or just ask the question in the comments and I will make sure that they get to him. I hope you enjoyed the interview and I talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So, hello everyone. We are back with another interview on the channel, and today's guest is, I'm honored to have you as a guest. It's someone that I've been looking up to and been following online for a while, since I've started already. Florian, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Could you tell the viewers a bit more about yourself?
Well, thank you so much for having. I got to say the honor is all mine. I've been following your channel, and congratulations on the success. You 20-30x hour view count, so very impressive work that you've done. So my name is Florian Faes. I'm the co-founder and now managing director of Slator, Slator.com, from Translator, Slator.com. And we are what we call the home of language industry intelligence. So we have a website with a bunch of news on the language industry, and we got a podcast and conferences and all of this good stuff. So I'm sure we're going to get into this as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you recently just had your conference, SlatorCon, right?
That's right. Yes. So we did the conference. We have the online presence, but then of course we also have the offline presence, in-person presence, and the conference is called originally SlatorCon, Slator Conference, and we hosted it in Menlo Park, so in the middle of San Francisco, between San Francisco and San Jose in the Silicon Valley. And we just finished it about 2 weeks ago. So SlatorCon is a one-day event, usually around 150, 160 people. That's kind of how we want to keep it. Attracts a lot of business people from the language industry, localization managers, kind of executives from language technology and language services company, and we kind of try to give quite a broad agenda over the day. So it's a one-day event. We usually have a welcome reception. Logistically very challenging. I'm not logistically very gifted, so the team's doing a fantastic job putting this all together.
Yeah, that must be a very challenging feat, especially organizing it at the other end of the world, basically. But I assume you have people all over, right? What is the company structure looking like?
Correct. So we've been around for now 9 years, incredibly so almost 10 years. So next year is going to be our 10-year anniversary. We're a team of 15 people, really spread around the globe. So we have a team in Asia. We have a presence in Europe. We have an office here. I'm based here in Zurich, Switzerland, and that's where the company is headquartered as well. But I'm the only person actually based in Zurich. And we have a bit of, that's right. So that's all there is. That's HQ in the back for those looking at this, viewing this on YouTube. Then we have a bigger presence actually in London. We have an actual physical office in London, which we just opened this year. So we've always had people there, but now we actually opened the office. We have a presence in Madrid. So we have people in Madrid, and then, the rest is spread all over, including one of our senior writers is actually based in Chicago in the US. So it's a global team, and that's what it takes to cover this incredibly fast-moving, exciting, but also global in nature business that is the language industry. So it does help to have everybody spread across the world.
That is amazing. Yeah, I mean, it is true. It's of course a huge industry. It's a very global industry as well. But I still feel like it's it's still a relatively niche thing that you did with your business, right? Would you say language industry news is your core business model, let's say? So there must have been some struggles growing this company, right?
So there is news is like one component to it, and we've somewhat outgrown that. So we started out with what you could call news, but you could also call it like relevant content that business people need to do, kind of to get more informed about their day-to-day operations. So we have that content side, the free content side, that's on the website, that's accessible for everybody. Then we have research, so that's going much deeper. Those are like big PDFs, 100 pages, 120 pages, 50 pages that you can buy or subscribe to and get them as part of your subscription. Then we also do the conferences, as I said before, but then we also have a big advisory practice. So that's basically consulting, advisory and consulting for, translation technology companies, translation AI, translation services companies, interpreting companies. So we have a big consulting practice now as well, built up over the past 4 to 5 years. So it's there's a few legs to the stool that we've built here.
Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting to hear, especially for me and for my viewers, that usually see kind of the language industry from a very minuscule point of view, right? We are usually in our room, we have a laptop, that's it, and then we see this whole other side that is this huge moving business, right? How do you see Slator, kind of the benefit of Slator for freelance translators? Is there one? I'm sure there is, because I have one. Can you share a bit your view on that?
It gives a broader picture to where you are also contributing, right? So freelance linguists are essentially at the heart of the entire global language industry, right? I mean, it's tens of thousands of freelance linguists that are like the beating heart of this, that actually deliver the human expertise that drives much of the value add of this industry. So sometimes it may feel like, okay, I'm sitting in my room and I'm typing away at my laptop, but actually, I mean, this is the key value add to the industry. Of course, there's technology that's built around this and that enables that expertise to be multiplied and spread across these incredibly complicated business workflows that these large companies are providing for even larger companies, right? But at the beating heart of it is actually the human expertise. I'm a trained translator, former translator. It's a long time ago, but I can empathize with being there in the room, typing away, and sometimes forgetting like what's actually the broader picture here. And that's what we're trying to provide to all of the stakeholders in the industry, which of course the freelancers are a key component. We actually also have a monthly newsletter called the Slator Toolbox, which has about 10,000 subscribers and is specifically geared towards freelance translators. So that's free. You can go to the website, you can sign up for it. So that's specifically for freelancers. But if you go to the Slator website, there's tons and tons of relevant information where you can just understand the industry that you're part of much better.
Definitely. And also the podcast I find so interesting. It's always on the top of my Spotify list. So that's also it's amazing. It's very personal as well, right? It gives insight into what people actually do in this industry. Do you also work directly with freelancers together in some capacities for research, for content creation, etc.?
100%. Yeah. So the core team is full-time in-house because we just need that like dedicated capacity for the content that we put on the website. For some of the research, we have some retained freelancers that do an amazing job. Some of them are actually, translators in another capacity, and so they're very close to that. So we, for example, we just released a report about 20 use cases of these LLMs in translation, and that was written by a freelancer. That was a freelance translator that also put on the research hat to do that. So yeah, we have a network of freelance contributors that we work together, and all of them are from the language industry because that's what you need to be able to understand that. So yeah, we have that network.
Okay, that's amazing. And obviously you are also on here talking to a lot of freelancers, so that's amazing. Your business being in the language industry, I'm always curious when I look at businesses like this, how is language, the actual language, part of your business and your thought process when you create content, when you do outreach? I assume most of it is in English, right? But you do want to reach across the aisle, so to say. How does that look in your business, the language?
Okay, that is a touchy subject, Adrian. It's because like I would love to get our website into 5-10 languages. I would love to do a multilingual podcast, but I'm afraid because our audience obviously is from that industry. And so if we, make mistakes, if there's an error, if there's a comma, if there's something, not great in a language that I wouldn't speak, we'd clog up the machine by just quality controlling our own content. So I'm like, let's keep this in English, and make life easier. But who knows? Maybe in the next 3, 4, 5 years, it'll become more accessible. So I dare doing this. I mean, I'm a native German speaker, so I sometimes struggle explaining like what we do in German. Or for example, yesterday I gave a presentation to freelance linguists in Austria, and that presentation was in German, right? And a lot of our content is in English, so I kind of had to translate a lot of it kind of on the fly, but also the slides, for example. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and because there's so much technology now in the language industry, a lot of these terms are very hard to translate, or they just don't really exist, right? I mean, so yeah, it's not easy. So the content that we put out, to kind of come full circle on Slator, to put that out even in German, which is my native language, I think would be harder than just writing it in English, frankly. So it's
I feel exactly the same. I feel like you're also building kind of almost like a professional persona in a way, and then it feels like I recently did a video in Swiss German, and it felt so weird to do that because I've never recorded anything in Swiss German. I love doing it, that's not the question, but I probably never had as many bloopers and cutouts in a video as this one. Randomly, I would just switch to English, because it's so ingrained that this YouTube persona is English speaking. And yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It would be very strange for me to switch suddenly.
And it's very, yes, I mean, I'd love to record anything in Swiss German. That'd be amazing, because then at least you wouldn't struggle with like just almost the physical aspect of it and all but it would be challenging from a jargon point of view. And I think sometimes, actually some of the feedback on presentations that I give in English are like, well, it's just a lot of English words in it. Right. And so it may sound like you're trying to show off by using all these words if people are more used to like listening to German content. But it's just I don't know these terms in German. They're just not top of mind. Yeah. Let's we can do a follow-up in Swiss German and try the AI and try to have the AI translate it to English. That's the frontier.
I was more thinking like choosing a non-professional topic and just philosophize a bit.
I'm not sure anybody will want me to philosophize in Swiss German. I think that would get like 7 views. But yeah, let's try.
So can we this is going to be a very broad question, but I would like to ask you to describe how you currently see the language industry. What is your current view overall?
Look, it's at a crossroads, right? It's very, it's an incredibly fast-moving environment right now, and we've been covering this again for 9 years. We've had the disruption that neural machine translation brought back in 2016, 2017. I mean, this is bigger, right? So this is there's so many new capabilities that these large language models bring to what translators and interpreters do, and none of them has been, or few of them actually have been kind of thought through the logical end. So there is this experimental phase going on right now. A lot of people are trying a lot of stuff with these large language models, like automatic post editing, preparing the source text for translation, accelerate post editing with this quality estimation thing. Like a lot of we just recently published a report with like 20 different use cases. Now, some of them are like experimental. Now, the question is, from a business point of view, how can you make them relevant for business, and can you actually make money by deploying them? Does it really help your business? So on the one hand, you have this technology disruption, this experimentation that's going on in the industry. Then you have and the existing suppliers. There's thousands, probably tens of thousands of translation agencies. There's big and large translation agencies. There's freelancers. So you have this existing industry that needs to adapt to this revolutionary technology on the one hand. At the same time, you have startups that are coming into the space that are basically native LLM. There's companies that were started a year ago. To them, ChatGPT, well, it's always been around, right? We built our business based on the assumptions that these capabilities are here. So you have them coming in, and they may have, they're looking for product market fit. They're looking for new customers. And so you have this incredibly dynamic environment out there where like literally every other month there's like a new capability that people are finding out about and that can deploy in like real life workflows. But then you have also, and I'll kind of come full circle in a second, you have this really large and established industry, both from the client side and the vendor side, where you can't just go in and kind of change processes overnight, right? Think about it. If you're Apple, let's take Apple. Apple, they've built up their localization team over, years and decades. You can't just say, well, now I have this magic tool. Let me just change the way the iPhone's localized overnight because there's LLMs now, right? So there's also a very kind of established and old industry that needs to adapt to this. So there's so many competing forces currently that it's very hard to kind of give an overarching picture other than saying things are moving incredibly fast. You want to be always up to date, and you want to be experimenting a lot in order not to, kind of miss the boat, the train, or whatever the metaphor is.
And who is predominantly executing these experiments? Is it new players that come into the picture, or is it the large LSPs? Everyone. Like we just delivered a report for the Association of Language Companies in the United States. It's an association of more smaller LSPs, so translation agencies. And we were surprised when we did the survey by how far advanced they already are. So you think, oh, conservative, smaller, maybe a little sheltered. No, not at all. They're doing all of the experiments that the big guys are doing as well. But it's also the clients. At our Silicon Valley conference, we had Uber, for example, there. And they were saying, hey, out of the 20 use cases you guys put in that report, we already looked at 12 and checked out if we should use them or not. We had eBay present at the conference, and Silvio from eBay, he was saying basically, well, what if we didn't have any of the existing technology? We just bring in language AI and build everything from scratch, right? So these are big companies, big clients also for the language industry that are experimenting like crazy now and make this work. So it's everybody. Yeah.
Very interesting, yeah. And you mentioned a report about 20 use cases. If you have some of them on the top of your mind, could you explain a few that are interesting?
I'm going to have to pull this up. So let me look at that. All right. Yes. So we have a few. Let me try to give you a couple of examples. So one of them, for example, would be make the target text SEO friendly, right? So you write something, and if you're in the web space, then you click a button, and then the LLM looks for something that's more SEO friendly, for example. Or you get reference texts, right, from your client. You get 500 pages of reference text. You click a button, you say, hey, create a glossary from that reference text that's useful for me when I actually do the translation. For example, you can accelerate the post-editing process. I think I mentioned that before with quality estimation. So maybe that's less useful for freelancers, but for big clients. So they're basically doing much more automated checks, and only the things that are deemed worthy of kind of human attention would get into that particular funnel. Or these RAG, have you looked at this RAG at all? Like this retrieval augmented
Okay.
generation, right? Where you take all the translation memories, you take all of the linguistic assets, and you use that to train the machine translation. At the end of the day, it means you can translate faster. And one thing that we're seeing a lot is improving fuzzy matches. That's what a lot of the big LSPs are all over at the moment. Like you get a fuzzy match, and then the LLM would actually complete it and perfect it, right? So instead of a 90% match, 95% match, you get close to 100% match. So it really improves the speed there. So those are just some of the use cases that are out there now of these LLMs. Some of them may catch on, some of them may be included in these tools that everybody's using. But yeah, there's just a lot that wasn't possible 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I know that a lot of my viewers that hear you talk about this, they will get very scared. They will not want to hear all of these advancements, right? But I mean, we know that they are there. There's no stopping it. How do you see the freelance translator in this whole new world, let's say? Is there some unique skills that are still irreplaceable? Where can we find our niche in this whole process? And can we also contribute to this development, right?
I mean, expertise and creativity. I mean, these things are great, but they're not creative. They are really not creative. I keep checking. I mean, they are generative, but they're not creative. Even if you do, like, you go to ChatGPT. I do this regularly. I take like a Bloomberg article. I did, for example, like yesterday, I did one from I think it was about a Norwegian town, like an oil town, and like how the economy is doing there. I put it into ChatGPT. I had it translate to German. I did the whole prompt, pretend to be, a journalist at Der Spiegel, and blah blah blah. It was okay. It was grammatically fine, but it just wasn't. It wasn't quite there, right? It wasn't creative. It kind of missed a few things. So I think the human creativity part that is very important for translation is something that's not going to go away. There's always going to be a creativity layer in translation or other activities that provide multilingual content. So that's the creativity part. And then there's the expertise part. Now, these systems know a lot, but if you have a particular expertise in a particular subject matter, you can still spot things that went wrong with the LLM that need to be improved. But of course, that gap is shrinking, right? So you need to become better and better and better to still add value to the output of the machine. And that's the challenge to the freelancers out there. So expertise and creativity. You gotta maybe not choose one or the other, but you gotta narrow your field a little bit. You can't be an expert in everything. So pick a field where you want to be a true expert, and then that's where you can still provide a lot of value. And actually, that's apparently there's a shortage of expert linguists, believe it or not. I mean, it's a bit contradictory, but I think a number of linguists are leaving the field because they don't see a future. But that actually means there's openings for people that are still around and that have that particular set of expertise.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there are always use cases where quantity is less important than quality, right? I mean, it's really these clients that we need to find. I mean, you are talking to all these huge corporations. Do you have any insights there? Like, how does a company decide in which use case? For sure, they're not even thinking about using any machine tools because it's just too dangerous. Maybe there's legal implications, and which use cases are simply fully automated already.
Yeah, good point. I think in anything that's regulated, finance, legal, certain areas, or especially in the life sciences, there's very little appetite for mindlessly deploying automated solutions if there's no control, right? I mean, let me give you an example. We had somebody from Icon on the podcast. The senior vice president. Icon is one of the biggest clinical research organizations, right? And they're basically helping all the big pharmaceutical companies to run their clinical trials, among many other things, right? And clinical trials involves a lot of translation and language work, right? So this is not an area where you want to save a lot of money by trying to automate translation. You want to make sure that the translations are 100% accurate. You know, there's even back translation to make sure it's 100% accurate. You don't want to miss a comma. You don't want to misplace a word. There can't be any errors. So in that setting, there's very little risk appetite, right? And same in certain financial areas. I mean, if a company puts out a quarterly statement, like a big bank, for example, about their results, like you don't want to, you don't want the AI to make an error that then leads to, major kind of turbulence on the stock market, for example. On the flip side, in e-commerce, there's a big acceptance of machine translation already. Or if you go to, for example, Airbnb, right? A lot of the listings are machine translated and people are reading them. And, if there's something wrong, I mean, there's no major issue, right? People appreciate that the content's in their language. And if it's not 100% perfect, so what, right? Same for certain like e-commerce stores where just, as long as you understand what the thing's about, then that's fine. I mean, for example, just in Switzerland, like you have these Amazon, like mini Amazon, like Digitech, things like that. It's in German, original was in English, I read it, I get what it is, I see the picture, huge volumes, of course, thousands of products. So that's where there's a lot more acceptance.
Yeah. Less premium texts there. Okay. So if someone wants to maximize or optimize their chances of success and future-proofing their career, then more regulated niches might be more applicable.
Regulated and creative. So the regulated part kind of speaks to the expertise that I mentioned before, and creativity is always in demand anyway. So
yeah. Okay, amazing. We're running out of time, so I would like to end this interview with a question to you, more like a bit from your personal point of view. You're doing all these podcasts, you're talking to all these corporations. What is it that excites you personally about this industry? What keeps you motivated? What gets you going about the future of the language industry?
I love how there's this technology meets business. Because I'm a language person at heart. I suck at math. I'm not good at other things like that. I'm a language person. So I love how language is an important part of business, and you combine the two. And now with the whole AI revolution, you have language, business, and now kind of the latest and hottest technology on top of it. So it's not boring. It's been 9 years, and I still struggle to keep up with what's going on literally every day. And that's what keeps me going. It's super, super, super interesting. And now we're at the forefront of this revolution. And we as translators and language industry professionals are better prepared than almost anybody out there to ride that wave, right? It's scary, but there's a ton of opportunity that's coming with it.
Amazing. And I truly believe that this passion that you show is exactly why your company succeeds and still succeeds, right? That has always been the impression I had of you. So it's great to hear. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. This was very insightful. Everyone watching, if you have more questions for Florian, please reach out to him directly or write them in the comments. I will forward them to you. And if you have more questions for a whole new interview, we can always do a part 2. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And for everyone out there, thanks for watching. And I see you next Monday with the next episode. Bye-bye.